So in this episode, we are going to talk about 3 things you should absolutely avoid in blended families.
Hey guys, welcome to Remarried Love, the best new relationship podcast for everyday men and women who desire to be married again. We're your hosts, Dee
and Aki.
And we're going to have candid, heartfelt conversations about the journey to a healthy remarriage.
We're so glad you're here. Today we're going to be talking about what many families are going through now, and that is blended families. If you're remarried already, or a step parent, or someone trying to plan how you're going to blend these families together, you're going to enjoy this episode. I think there's going to be something in here that you can take away from and implement in your family.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you just need love when dealing with blended families.
A lot of love.
A lot of love.
Blended families need to understand not to rush things, and that love is the basis of this blended family.
Yeah, you need a lot of it.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that today. But if you're new here, we want to welcome you. We have been through all of this.
Oh, yeah.
Both Dee and I have been in blended families.
Yes. We are the children of divorced parents, and we both have been divorced ourselves.
And in the divorced parents, both of our parents remarried. So we had stepbrothers and sisters, if you call that stepbrothers and sisters, siblings by marriage. We've also had half brothers and sisters,
yes.
What people would call half, which
yes.
is siblings by one parent. And then when we became adults, our previous marriage, we were divorced. And then we had a blended family in those marriages.
And we have children together as well.
Yeah.
So we have the whole gambit.
Yeah. And we understand. And this can be a kind of difficult road, and sometimes you feel like you're alone when you're on the blended family journey, but there are resources out there. We're here for you, and we want you to know that you're supported and loved, and we're just going to get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right. So the first thing that you want to avoid in blended families,
you want to avoid putting your children's responsibilities on your new spouse.
Yeah,
that's a big thing. When you first get married, it should be a joyous thing. And when you just right off the bat start saying, well, now you got to do this, that, and the other, and you're putting all of your responsibilities on your new spouse.
We're talking about financial responsibilities.
The responsibilities of your children on this person. Now, we know that they may have signed up to be a stepmother or stepfather to your children, but right off the bat, telling them you need to handle this, that, and the other, that's a bit overwhelming at times for people.
And I think it's the attitude, like you said, that you have to do it.
Yeah.
And not like a request or something that was discussed, because like you said, can be overwhelming for a person, and you can start building a wall of resentment.
Yeah, I think the spouse can have a wall, and also the child.
Yeah.
And so,
especially if it causes a rift between you and your spouse, and the child feels it or hears it, and they know it's because of spending money on them.
And one thing you should know is that children hear and see everything in the house. Even if they don't say it, they do hear, they see things, and they may not say it to you, but they're a part of that household and the energy that you're putting out in that household.
Right.
So I think you've experienced that before, right?
Yeah. I think we talked about it in one episode when my dad paid for something that he didn't discuss with my stepmom for me.
Ooh.
And she was very upset, not because she didn't want to spend the money, but he didn't tell her. And I heard that conversation, and I was just like, Dad, I don't even want to be a part of it. And it caused a lot of hurt feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that case, he wasn't putting it on her. He was kind of excluding her from the finances, where the finances were going to go. And we talked about that in another podcast.
He didn't make her a part of the decision-making process.
Right. Which is kind of like the opposite effect of it, because sometimes one spouse can assume or expect that the other spouse, who's the non-biological spouse, to pay for everything. And that can include student loans for adult children, daycare. It can go to a vehicle for the teenage child. It can go for sports for a middle school child.
Or ballet.
A trip.
Yeah, ballet slippers and all of the outfits.
Really expensive things.
Yeah, cheerleading.
Especially if the child wasn't wasn't participating in certain things before. And then now that you're remarried, you expect the spouse to now like elevate the child to 5 activities now or something. That is a touchy subject, and we want to avoid that.
Well, this is where you have to have discussions. You have to talk about things, and you have to agree upon things.
Right.
So you're having the discussion, and you're coming to a mutual agreement on this is what we're going to do in our household.
Right.
And it's between the two people who are married in this household.
And remember, with remarried and blended families, you want to show compassion, and you may have to do more role playing where you are in other people's roles.
Yes.
Is that the right word?
Well, basically, you want to see how it feels to be in their shoes, because you want to be sensitive to how they may feel. Everybody's new at this in your house, and they're all coming together. You don't automatically want to say, well, we're all one big happy family right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. You have to be able to learn each other.
And with a big shift in finances for someone, like with anything, let's say you're driving and then your car breaks down, or you get a flat and now you have to replace all your tires or something like that, right? Any like shift that is substantial, it doesn't make you feel good sometimes, you're like, man, now I have to shell out hundreds of dollars to
And I would also say, as a man, what if you have one child and now you're married and you have 4 children? That's a big economic change for a man, and you're paying child support.
Yeah, and especially if it's expected, not asked.
Exactly.
It wasn't talked about.
It's the intent of the other spouse, how they communicate with you regarding the situation. If they feel and understand that we both had 1 or 2 children, now together we have 4 and 5, if they're insensitive, then that causes the rift or the problem.
And then another thing you have to talk about, when you expect a spouse to pay for something that they didn't make the decision on. And so that would be like maybe an extracurricular activity or a trip or whatever. You did not let that spouse know that this is what we want to do, but you're saying, hey, you're supposed to pay for it because you're the man. I think probably this affects men much more than women.
It sounds like it from what you just said, because telling somebody, hey, you're going to pay for this, and I made this decision with my ex-spouse or with the child or both of them. Now you're the one who's going to finance this project.
Yeah, you're footing the bill.
Yeah, it's like, no, that's not going to work.
That's not how you want to approach the blended family.
Well, it causes problems between the man and the woman. And so now the entire family is going to feel that.
Yeah.
And you don't want that in your new marriage.
You don't want that. You can have whatever arrangement that suits your marriage. Like, let's say the husband wants to handle all of that. That's fine. And then there may be a situation where you guys split it somehow, or you'll use child support to do that, or you'll do whatever arrangement that will work for you. That's what you want. You want in blended family, when finances come in, everybody's on the same page.
Yeah. Well, I hope that the child support will be used for the child. So that actually would help the new remarried family.
If I came to you and I said, honey, I have my son, he's into football, and football is really expensive. So I'm going to handle that because I get the child support for that. If you could just help us with the trips to the games, that's really all of the extra financial burden, I would say, or responsibility that I want to put on you.
So basically it's just, making sure that I'm available and spending time with that child, spending time with my spouse, and bonding. So really it's the bonding process for that.
Ultimately you want to bond, and you want to have patience with the timing. Give your spouse a little grace when it comes to
responsibilities,
adding the financial responsibility right away.
The second thing to avoid when in a blended family is forcing instant bonds.
Right. It doesn't come instantly.
And that's forcing instant bonds with kids, because, well, it could be with everybody, I guess, in there, but it's mainly from the parents to the kids.
Because the kids didn't fall in love with each other.
The
spouses did, and the kids didn't fall in love with the spouse.
Or each other, like you just said.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
The only falling in love and all this newness
and dating
that's
and all
exciting was between mom and dad.
See, the kids didn't have that romantic time to spend together and get to know each other and relax with each other. After you guys did all that, then they became a family with you.
Yeah, then they were like, okay.
Yeah, who is this person?
I think my parents did a good job of letting me take my time, at least with the names, with titles.
Okay.
Okay, so
that's a big deal. Titles.
Yeah, my stepmom, I just naturally started calling her like mom because I called my mom something else and she was cool with it. Mm-hmm. Her kids called her mommy or something. But I used to call all my friends' mom's mom. That was like my name for mothers who were not my mother.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Do you understand what I'm saying?
It's the name.
Yeah, it was like an affectionate name for me because I had a different name for my biological mother. Mm-hmm. So it was just like, hey, mom. Hey, oh, that's your mom. Hi, mom. Everybody was mom. But on dad, I didn't have that. I didn't call everybody dad.
Yeah, usually there's no list of names for dad. You can say father. You can call him father.
Or daddy.
Daddy,
but
dad.
But it's not like an affectionate name.
Call him like guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
It depends on who you are.
So, my mother allowed me and my stepdad to have a conversation. And I remember he was like, what would you like to call me?
That's a good conversation.
And I was like, I don't know. And I was like, we're like, cool. And it wasn't like right away. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to have that conversation right away. It kind of just happened when we were cool with each other. And then I was like, and I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to call him.
Well, I think that time has to go by after the two individuals are married for bonding to take place. And then you can have those type of conversations and it could be natural.
Yeah, especially if the child is coming in and out of the home. They're not at the bonding pace that you and your spouse are.
Yes.
So I would only be with my mom, part of the time. So with my stepdad, we decided on Buddy. And it was nice. He called me Buddy and I called him Buddy.
Yeah.
It was like our thing. And so when I became a stepmom to our daughter, I told her, you can call me whatever you want.
So I have a daughter and I never forced my daughter to call my wife mom or anything like that. No names. I never forced her. So one day they came together and decided on a name. And what was that name?
Yeah, she decided on a name and I can't remember what she decided on because shortly after she changed it.
Oh.
You know what I mean? She was calling me Aki for so long.
Okay.
My nickname. Mm-hmm. She was calling me that and she liked it. But then when we had children and we were all out in public.
Well, they would start calling you mom.
They would start calling me mom. And she didn't want to call me what all my friends were calling me. She wanted to call me something more intimate.
Yes.
And that, what's that, like 5 years later?
Yeah. Well, that's also building your own relationship with her.
Yes.
She wanted to have her own relationship with you and separate from our kids, separate from your friends, separate from me, of course.
Yeah. So that's why she came up with the name. But what's interesting about it, she didn't live with us. She was visiting. So her time with me was kind of limited. I think in all of the times she was there might have equaled 2 years or something with me directly. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it was a while before she felt that way, but it was always open. Whatever you feel comfortable calling me is fine.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think when you force kids to be an instant family, that causes now resentment between the kids and you, or
especially their biological parent.
And it can cause resentment between the kids and the non-biological parent.
Well, it's resentment. Yeah. It's resentment all around. Everybody's going to be resenting.
Yeah. No one's going to like that.
No.
So how was it with your stepbrothers and sisters?
Well, my parents never forced anything on us. Mm-hmm. I would say that, like when I met my stepfather, they never forced me to call him dad or father or anything like that. And actually, I was calling him by his first name, even to this day. Mm-hmm. Not out of disrespect, but that was
kind of how he was introduced to you.
That was how he was introduced to me, and that's how our relationship forged and bonded together. And I have a respect for him so that he knows that. I'm saying I had and have a respect for him. He has been there for us since we were children.
And you guys still have a great relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, as relationships can go that are long distance, but you still have fondness. It's not like a resentment.
Yeah.
I don't think you feel like.
And I think that as I've gotten older, he's actually stepped up even more, hasn't he? Yeah.
You're asking me?
Well, I'm just saying, like, in our lives together as a married couple, we've seen him step up more in our lives. So having a relationship with your parent and your children, that's a large dynamic, and there's many things you have to work out. But
you guys were like the same ages, right?
You're talking about me and his children and my mother's children, being us, were all around the same age.
Yeah.
Yes. And I am the oldest of all four of us.
Yeah. That must have been nice.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Well, when I was with my father's first set of children, I was the youngest. And then when he remarried after my mom and he got a divorce, then I became the oldest. And there was a big like gap. Mm-hmm. And then with my mom and my stepdad, his youngest son, there was a large gap. So I was like an older sister. And sometimes, you as the oldest one have a lot of responsibilities now.
Of course you do.
So that was weird going from like the baby to the person in charge and all of that. And you as parents have to be sensitive to that.
Well, hopefully the parent understands the dynamic of the household, knowing that now you, at one time you were the child, now you're the oldest child. So you have to, as a parent, realize that your child is changing in their lives, just like your life has changed.
Yeah. You've probably heard us mention this before. Both Dee and I have been through divorces, and now we're 15 years strong in our remarriage journey. So trust us when we say we get it when starting over and building a new life together. If you're ready to reclaim your power in love, life, and money, I wrote Power Over All just for you. It's real, it's encouraging, and it's meant to walk with you as you heal and grow. There's also a companion journal to help you track your progress and reflect all year long. Grab your copy today and step fully into the power God already gave you. Links in the description. Now let's get back to the episode. The thing that was funny is that at first, my stepbrother and sister, they would not listen to me. But I was still...
Do they ever?
Yeah, I was still held
grow up?
responsible, and I didn't understand that. Well, wait a minute. If you want me in charge, they're not listening to me. And so we had to have a family discussion about that because they weren't used to anyone telling them what to do. My brother was the middle child, but he used to be the oldest.
Yes.
So he was not happy.
No, he wasn't.
About this new big sister coming in, trying to boss him.
Taking his place as the lead.
Yeah. That was interesting. Mm-hmm. And we would always have these conversations as kids. Whose mom was better?
Oh, I don't know if I've actually had that conversation, but I felt it. I am the oldest, and I remember that my stepbrother and sister would come in from another town to stay with us because I lived with both of our sets of parents, my sister and I, and they would come in, and of course they would bring the feelings from other people into the household. Yeah. And that dynamic was very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
So we had to work through that, and then they would leave. But it's funny because if you come in and you work through things and then you leave, you go back to the household. So you build up that resentment of the house you just left and all this other stuff because you're talking to the ex-spouse again, which is their parent. My sister and I, we stayed in the household. So we had no change. Mm-hmm. There was nothing different for us. But my parents had to figure out a way to connect both sets of children. And that was a little tough, actually.
Mm-hmm. It is.
As an adult, now that I see it, I'm thinking that it was tough.
I know that I think my brother, too, my stepbrother is who I'm talking about. Okay. And he took his parents' divorce really hard.
I'm sure he did. That was his father and mother.
Yeah, and he kind of really wanted to... I felt like, we're all kids, so this is my perspective as a kid, looking back, but I always felt like he wanted to be with his dad, and he liked my dad, and he wanted to love him, I think, but he had just was torn between that. And
the loyalty?
It made him uncomfortable. My stepsister, I don't remember her feeling that. She was a lot younger when her parents got divorced too.
But she was also with her mother.
She was also with her mother, and she loved the idea of having a big sister. We had to share a room. That was hard for me. I used to have my own room. Now I'm sharing a room.
And she was all in your stuff.
She was all in my stuff. So parents have to be very patient
and
sensitive to all of the different dynamics that the children are going through. And we're not saying, okay, now everybody has to have their own room and now you have to jump through all these hoops. You can still blend. You can still do things together. We're just saying, being sensitive to that.
To the time frame.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's sensitive to the time frame of your expectation of
how
kumbaya. That's
because,
what I'm saying.
They may not like each other. They may have totally different personality types.
Well, they're actually strangers who met up, and the only reason they're together is because of the parents.
And they're usually upset about that.
Of course.
Because I know for me as a child, once my dad got remarried, I think he remarried first, and then my mom got remarried, it like crushed all hope that I had that my parents were going to get together. I still had that hope.
Yeah.
Maybe
one day
they'll get together.
Yeah.
And we could be a happy family.
That's not in their mindset. That's not in their hearts.
Yeah.
They're like, no, I'm moving on.
You kind of have a little bit of resentment for the step parent anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
because they're not your biological
parent.
Yeah.
Even if they're fun, nice, everything can go well. The child could still not like the step parent because they're not their parent.
And I think it's funny that you said all hope was crushed and gone when your mother got married. See, my parents, biological parents, were divorced when I was a child. So I never saw them actually married together.
You mean like a toddler
I'm talking
child,
about
right?
Toddler
like,
and less than that. Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 years old or somewhere
like
around
you couldn't remember them together.
I can't remember them actually being together except for through our pictures.
Right.
And we do have a lot of pictures. But other than that, I've never seen them married as a couple. Mm-hmm. So feeling resentment wasn't in my heart. I had no resentment because
you didn't have like a
bonding with my father. He was not really there for me. But I do know that boys do want their fathers. I will say that.
Yeah. So just with that, like, that's a good point you made. I was 7 and we went on trips. We did a lot of things together as a family. Mm-hmm. And I remembered everything. So that's why it was so hard. And I'm sure as you get older, the more that you're with your parents, it's harder. And I've even had friends that were adults when their parents got divorced.
That's tough.
And it crushed them.
Yeah.
I mean, and they were not happy with any type of remarriage.
Divorce is not good no matter how old the child is when the parents get divorced, whether they're 50, 15, or 5.
Right.
It really doesn't matter because divorce crushes households.
It does. And we're not talking about if you have to leave for safety or anything like that. We're just talking about there's a family unit that it just didn't work out.
It didn't work out.
The children are kind of in the crossfire.
Yeah.
So with blended families, you are blending the people that have experienced that trauma together. And that's why in that the bond may take a little bit longer than you had anticipated for everybody to be together.
And I would like to say that everyone heals at their own, level and time frame. You can't force someone to be healed. Well, it's been 5 years. Get over it.
Yeah.
Well, you can't say that to a child, especially if they're young, because maybe they're 10 and that's half their life.
Their whole life has changed. Yeah. So like we said, it's about love, giving each other time. I do believe that the children take longer than the spouses that got together. The children take a little bit longer.
Well, you're reframing their whole lifestyle. Their whole life is being redone in every aspect because now they don't have their biological parents. Now they have another person who is
telling them what to do. And nobody likes that.
Yeah, nobody likes that. Nobody wants another person to tell you what to do.
There's another personal story I had is when my mother asked me, did I want to take my stepdad's last name?
Yes, that's a big one.
Yeah. Now, she didn't do this right away, but it was like maybe 4 or 5 years into her remarriage that she asked me that. I guess he'd have to kind of adopt me or something like that, but my dad was still around. I'm not really sure why she asked me that. Maybe it was military benefits or something.
It could have been.
Yes.
But also she's trying to, make you into
her family.
Yeah, what she's doing.
Yeah, she didn't like that we had different last names.
Yeah, most people don't like that.
Yeah, so she asked me that, and I was like, no.
Emphatically.
I was offended that she asked me that.
Offended. Wow.
Yeah, I was a teenager at that time.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like, no, I like my name. I love my name. I knew I was going to change it when I got married, but I liked my name then.
But that's you changing it on your terms, not being asked or suggested that it be changed.
Yeah, and I didn't marry him. Like, I didn't want his last name, but I knew what she was trying to do. I'm more understanding now looking back as an adult, but I was really upset for a second, but she never brought it up again.
Well, I was actually asked as well. My mother asked me, and it wasn't anything big. She just asked me if I wanted to take his last name, and I said, No, thank you. I like my last name. Because I remember as a child going into the sand, writing my name, my first name, my last name, and say, you know what? I like my name.
Yeah.
So,
and it took a lot of us to learn it when we were young.
Exactly. So since I had to learn my name, I said, I like what I have. I'm going to keep what I have.
Right.
And let's move on.
We've been writing it for so long. We just learned it. We don't want to change it and write another name.
No.
So that's how kids feel.
But I would also say to parents not to be offended if a child says they don't want to take this new person's last name.
Don't get offended.
Yeah, don't get offended because they have a history just like you're wanting to create a history.
Right. And maybe maybe you're like, well, why wouldn't you want his last name? He's been good to you. He's much better than your daddy. And don't say that.
Yeah, that's not a good thing to say.
No, but if you like...
It sounded funny while you said it right here.
Right. And you're talking to your child like you don't know why they wouldn't want to do that. But remember, they're not having the same relationship at the same pace that you are with your spouse. Your child is having a childlike relationship, maybe constantly, maybe it started the first time you introduced them. They didn't have the pre-dating and like what you were talking about before. Mm-hmm. So just be very patient with growing bonds and don't force them on your kids.
The third thing you want to avoid in a blended family is loyalty conflicts.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Yeah, loyalty conflicts are when you're torn as a parent between yourself and your biological child or children.
Yeah.
So there's a situation that may arise and you're like, do I take my spouse's side or do I take my children's side?
Right.
That's a loyalty conflict. And I know people have experienced this. And if you've experienced this, we're with you. And just know that it won't always be like that. And
that you'll feel torn.
Yeah.
It'll be more organic that you guys are kind of like doing things together.
Yes. As husband and wife.
Yeah. And the reason why that can happen sometimes is, especially with single moms, they'll have a very close bond with their child after divorce. And primarily it's because usually they're living with the child. Dads don't get to do that as much. Some fathers do. I'm just saying.
Most don't.
Yeah, most don't. And so you're with this child 24/7. You're making decisions for the child. You're not really having anyone to bounce ideas off of. There's no checks and balances. You're just kind of running everything.
And some people would say, I'm the mother and the father. Now, I personally don't like that term, but I would say that you are the parent who is parenting everything for that child.
Right. And so then you come into a marriage, a remarriage. And now you have two adult spouses that are working together. And maybe there's a decision that has to be made. And you just thinking, oh yeah, we'll just do that I'm going to just do this for my child.
So Johnny, come over here. You're going to do this and that and the other.
And the spouse is like, well, wait a minute.
Whoa.
We don't do that here.
No.
We're not going to do that. And then now there's a loyalty conflict. So let me give another example. I've heard a story that a couple had talked about where they were getting married and the husband wanted to bring the small child with them on their honeymoon because he'd always been the caretaker.
Yes.
And the new spouse was like, sir, I don't want to take a child
on my honeymoon.
On my honeymoon.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, where is she going to go? It was his daughter. Mm. And it's like, with her grandmother or somebody or with her biological mom, at
least for that day or that weekend,
Sometimes we don't even realize. In the end, the little girl didn't go with them. Then he felt some type of way towards his spouse that he just married because he was like, wait a minute, that's my daughter.
So he had a little resentment because his new spouse didn't agree with him in terms of having his daughter come with them
on their honeymoon. Yeah.
And I'm wondering why he thought that was a good idea.
Because sometimes you don't even realize you've bonded so much during that divorce single time with your child that you don't even realize that you're including them
in adult things.
Exactly.
I can understand that to a certain extent because I was bonding with my daughter and many men bond with their daughters during that time, just like women bond with their sons during that time. And we have to be mindful that when we meet somebody new, this is the adult. The person who is next to you is the adult. Mm-hmm. And you had a child, but the child, you're not married to that child. You're married to the adult.
And the child is going to grow
and go home and go somewhere else. That's what I mean when I say home, to their own home.
Yeah, they're going to evolve. They're not going to stay a child.
Correct.
But your spouse, you and your spouse are in adulthood now. Mm-hmm. And you guys are going to work together to build something between the two of you. That's important because sometimes those bonds with the children can affect making new bonds, with your spouse.
That's what I was going to say. The new bond is with your spouse. So really, when you have a blended family, everyone should be making new bonds because you're correct. Good. The children are going to or supposed to leave. And that's funny. We're saying they're going to leave, but many people are saying, yeah, but my kids are coming back home.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about that. We're saying that the normal process is for a child to grow up and then they go off to college or go to school or go somewhere else, start their own life with someone else.
And leave their family.
Leave the nest.
Leave with someone else.
Leave with someone else. And then you and your spouse should have your new bond that you've been working on for years. And now you guys are going to go and party like it's 1999, or just have fun and have the life that you desire to have.
Yeah, that you created.
Yes.
With love. And it's kind of like what we said about forcing bonds. We don't want to force the children to bond. And we also don't want to force the other spouse to bond with your biological child.
Correct.
When we were married, well, we're still married.
Yeah.
When we got married is what I mean.
Okay.
Let me say it. When we got married, I did not feel any pressure from you to bond with your children.
Thank you.
Did you feel pressure from me to include them? Or I felt like
we had a conversation and I had you meet with them before we even got married so that they can know who you are. Yeah. That's one of the things that we personally did. I said, you know what? I think it's time for you to meet my kids. I set it up. I told the children that a woman that daddy likes and really likes is going to be coming by.
Really likes.
And so I set it up for you to drop by one day. Mm-hmm. They were there and they're staring at you like, who is this person? But I did talk to you or talk to them about who you are.
And the first interaction wasn't something so serious that we had to pretend like we were a family. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you let me just come over there and meet them.
Yeah.
And you let them just meet me. And then that was it.
That was it.
We didn't have to go somewhere and pretend like a family, or we just were meeting each other.
I'm just letting them know who I am deeply in love with, and they have never seen anyone else, actually. They didn't have anybody else to compare.
All your ladies?
Yeah, all the different ladies. I had a whole bunch of them around there. No, I did not do that. I did not do that. So I had just you come into the house. You're the only person who's met my children when they were young like that.
We just went from there.
From that day, you were able to build your own bond with them.
And, in our situation, the way that our family dynamics were set up, they came to see you a lot of times when there was breaks in the school. And so you still had to work. And I was with them one-on-one.
But that's after we were married. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And we were able to spend a lot of time together just building our own relationship.
And you're talking about you and the children.
Yeah.
Yes.
You and me and your children that you brought into the marriage. Mm-hmm. We had kind of our own dating time, our own time.
Yeah, to get to know each other.
Yeah, which I think also took a pressure off a little bit because we weren't doing family time. I don't know if that makes sense. We were a family, but maybe we're just going to the park, but it's not. They have to see me and you holding hands all the time.
Oh, okay. I understand.
They don't have to see.
They didn't have times where they felt uncomfortable for long periods of time.
With me.
With you.
Right. Mm-hmm. If we had all gone out together and, we're showing public display of affection or something, we're saying, and then we have to introduce them and I'm saying, oh, these are my kids or whatever. I think that creates kind of an environment of confusion for kids a little bit at first.
And resentment
at first. Yeah,
towards both of us.
Yeah. But if they kind of got to know me just by themselves.
I agree with that. I think that they got to know you for who you are to them.
Yes.
Because you spent your time and they got to know your personality type, what you like, what you don't like.
Yes. They got to know me.
And you were good to them and they were good to you.
Yeah. It was pretty easy in the sense of my relationship with them. There was other things involved, but as far as children, I think you don't really have to force too much at all anyway. You just let it happen organically. But I think it was at a different pace from your son to your daughter. I felt like...
Well, that's an age difference.
It was an age it was their relationship with their mom, their relationship with you. There was all these different dynamics that played. So you may find that, like, if you're a step parent, you may find that one child bonds more quickly than the other one. And that's okay. That doesn't mean you're doing anything bad.
No.
It doesn't mean that something is wrong with them. All it means is everyone is going at a different pace.
That's correct.
You know, a lot of children feel that if they like the other spouse, the step parent, that they are betraying their biological parent.
So if you have a father, then maybe that son thinks that if he likes his stepdad, he's betraying his biological father.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Or that his biological father will disapprove. And sometimes families have that situation where the biological parent that is not remarried can cause some stress on the child.
Yes.
And you as a parent and a step parent need to kind of realize that that's what that child may be going through outside of your home.
So they're getting pressure from the other side.
Yeah, not to like anybody.
Yes.
Like, how could you like somebody?
Yeah, I've had that experience of someone putting pressure on a child to not like someone.
Yeah, or to not listen. I've seen that. Don't listen to your dad.
You don't have to listen to that.
You don't have to listen to them.
Yeah, you don't have to do what they say.
Yeah, that brings a lot of confusion. And so one thing that we did when the children were with us until we had our own, it's like, this is our home. We kind of reiterated, this is how we
do it here.
We do it here. And it's hard for them to get that at first, but then it'll slowly come. Yes. I know at dad's and my stepmom's, this is how we do it here. And if it's consistent, they'll understand. They'll start getting used to it.
Both parents need to be a united front. The biological parent has to...
You mean both I'm talking about the two that are remarried.
The two that are remarried need to be a united front
yes.
in their home.
Yes.
This is how we do it here.
Yeah, and I'm glad that my parents both were like, when you're with your mom and her husband, that's what my dad said, you follow their rules. And my mom is like, when you're with your dad, you're still supposed to follow the rules. Whoever house you're in, that's who you're going to obey. They respected each other and trusted each other, I guess, to an extent. And that's good. Even if you don't have that, you still need to have that consistency in your home for the child, and that it's okay to laugh and relax here. And I think that's another thing we wanted to reiterate with the kids. It's okay. You don't have to be tense, because sometimes we would see and feel the kids were just like, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to laugh at anything. I don't want to look at anything. I don't want to touch anything. I
think that our kids were being told certain things, and so that's why they had the tension.
Yeah.
Because in our household, there wasn't tension like that. As time went on, they began to understand that there was no tension in our household.
And it's okay to relax.
It's okay to relax.
Even if it was times that they didn't want to say anything, we allowed that to happen. Like, they came and visited, and there wasn't a lot of talking.
Yeah, I remember that.
They were just in our presence. They were able to see how we interact.
Well, they're observing.
Yeah, they were watching us do things. They didn't really want to do anything or say anything, and it was okay. We allowed that. A way to avoid loyalty conflicts is definitely having open conversation with your spouse and allowing your children to feel and process the whole situation.
Yeah, at their own pace. So I think that it's good for children and adults to realize that this is a new situation for everyone, no matter how many years have gone by. It's a new thing that has never existed before, meaning that all of you guys are individuals, and that you all should be patient with each other and understanding of the different situations that you're all in. I think that parents should understand when biological parents and step parents can be in a child's life at the same time and work together. That's a great thing for a lot of kids.
It is. And that it's not a competition.
It's not a competition at all.
That no one is replacing people. We're kind of growing and adding. Something happened in our lives. The divorce happened. And now there is like a new family that's emerging, and you let them know that they are a part of something new. It looks different, but keeping it positive and light and relaxed can really help blended families.
Yes, that's a great thing. So we talked about 3 things to avoid when you're in a blended family. Number 1, putting your children's responsibility on your new spouse. Number 2, forcing instant bonds. And number 3, loyalty conflicts.
Yes, and in part 2, we are going to have 3 more things to avoid, and we'll give solutions on how we can work together. And if you have any comments or input about your blended family situation, or you had a question, feel free to leave it in the comments. We would love to hear from you.
So we hope these 3 things helped you in your journey as a blended family. And remember that you can have a happy, healthy remarriage. We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye-bye.